My name is Steve Layton, and I travel the world finding amazing and delicious coffee for you to drink at home. Some make coffee difficult to understand and complicated, but here it's my job to make it easy and fun and tell you what's in my mug.
So hello everyone and welcome to In My Mug episode 423. Thank you for joining me as always. This week got something a bit different again, like last week in Kenya, this week in Dundee in Scotland, and I am at a customer of ours called Pacamara, and we'll be meeting Barry who owns it, and he'll tell you a little bit about where it is and how you can come visit him if you're up this way. But I'm doing an event tonight to talk about the trip from Kenya last week, so everything's intertwined, everything's all together. Very interesting coffee for you this week. A coffee that we've not seen that has been since 2011, but actually we've never seen this one as well, because it's owned by Ernesto Menéndez. Ring any bells? Well, Ernesto is the owner of La Lujon, which we have worked with for quite a few years. And he owns some other farms. He owns Los Andes, he owns Alaska, and he also owns Los Brumas, which is the newest of his farms, but also the biggest. About 60 hectares of coffee, which is just huge. Like, for El Salvador, that's a massive, massive farm. Previous Cup of Excellence winner with this farm, and #1 coffee from there. And it was a Pacamara that he won with. And this week's coffee is a Pacamara. But this is a special project, which I'm going to tell you a little bit more about in a little while. But before that, let's go to this week's fact file. Welcome to this week's fact file. And this week's fact file is El Salvador, and figures may change because we got them wrong. So let's zoom down to El Salvador and get into the details. So El Salvador has 165 hectares devoted to coffee, which is 12% of the country, which is a lot of the land just covered in coffee plants. They are the 14th biggest producer in the world. Their total coffee production varies between 1 million and 2 million bags. Last recorded numbers I've got is 1.3 million. Common varietals, well, Bourbon, Pacas, Pacamara. This is 95% of the plant stock in El Salvador. They do grow some other stuff, but very little amounts. Total employed, 155,000 of a 10 million population. As that's over 1 in 10. We work with 18 farms in El Salvador. It's obscene, but I love every single one of them. And this is one of my favourites, which is Finca Los Brumas from the Department of Sonsante. It's a Bourbon. It's washed 1,700 to 200 metres, owned by Ernesto Menéndez, and it's very near the Santana volcano. That was the fact file. So as I said, it's 60 hectares of coffee. And that's all planted, and a lot of it was planted when he got there. He spent a lot of time ripping out and replanting, and there's Bourbon, and there's Pacamara, and there's some Pacas, and he's planted some other interesting things. He's got some very interesting geisha things going on, and Kenya stuff. But there's another 30 hectares, which is 1,700 metres to 2,000 metres, so the rest of the farm is 14 to 17. It then goes from 17 to 2,000, which is virgin forest, which he could cut down and rip out and plant more coffee on, but Ernesto is not only a good farmer, but he's a good ecologist as well, and he wants to look after the land that he works in and the things that he's growing. So instead of doing that, when he first took over the farm, which is 6 years ago now, he planted some coffee in the forest. Now this is the first harvest that we've seen from it. Coffee normally after 2, 3 to 4 years will start producing a crop, 4 years maximum. But it's taken a long time with this farm because the coffee is shaded, because you've got all the shade trees over it. It doesn't get much sunlight, but the soil is incredibly rich and full of new, kind of food from the leaves and the trees and the plants and everything around it. And it hasn't been heavily harvested. It has massive gaps in between the plants, so the trees have room to breathe and expand. And he's done an SL28 project, which we're going to be releasing and will be on the site now when you're watching this. And we also have this special Pacamara that has come out. It is super rare, it's a small lot, there's no big yield with it, it's a great project, and I think it's going to be something that's really, really exciting to try. So before we go any further, we should go to this week's fact file. Sorry, not the fact file, the map bit. No good when I'm on tour, am I? It's the map bit. I'm not in has-been, I'm in Dundee. Oh, so lazy, aren't I? Not changing that. But we're going across the Atlantic Ocean, and in particular we're going to go to Central America. And in Central America, El Salvador has the third largest economy in Central America, behind Costa Rica and Panama. It punches way above its weight for its land size. But let's zoom down to that said country and look at where we get this coffee from. So if we zoom in, we can see here Finca Los Brumas, very much on its own there. This is the farm buildings, so this is where well, here we are. So this is the forest I talked about, and the forest plants. This is Ernesto, my legend friend. Here we are at the highest part you can drive to, which is at the very bottom of the farm. You can see this goes right up the mountain here. All of that bit that is shaded green is the farm side. The highest point in El Salvador is Cerro El Pital, and of course the lowest point is Pacific Ocean, which you can see in this picture, and you can see from the farm, which is pretty cool. That was the map bit. So Ernesto is a first-generation farmer, which is quite unusual. He grew up in a coffee family, but he went and bought his own farms himself. The first farm being La Lucia, which is really quite a tiny farm in comparison. It's only a few hectares, but he's on the very highest point of Santa Ana volcano. This is a little, everything else, so Finca Alaska is also on Santa Ana. It's around about a mile and a half away from there, as is Los Andes, which is around about a further mile round the volcano. This is at the Sonsonate region, which you saw on the map bit. So it's a little bit of a way away. From the farm, you can actually stand there and see the Pacific Ocean. You can see the boats coming in and out, and it's crazy. I think we got up to about 1,800 metres. It's very difficult to get any higher unless you're going to spend a whole day hiking, and then you've got to get back down. But we could see all of these boats coming in on the sea. Absolutely phenomenal view. Right, so I'm going to whack you on pause now. I think Sonali is dialing in the espresso for me, and we're going to be having the brew. I'm going to be joined by Barry, so he can tell us a little bit about the shop and how you can visit it, because it's a super cool place. So back with you in a moment. So we're back, we've got coffee here, but I'm joined by Barry. Should we dive into the espresso before it goes cold? And then I want you to tell me all about it here. So I'm going to... So there we go, that's for you. So with Pacamara, it's quite often difficult to dial in. I mean, as you will know yourself, being here. This one is like super worth the effort for me. I love Pacamara, I'm a sucker for them. I went through a spell of hating them when I first got into coffee, and now I'm just a massive fan. For me, this is like massive of acidity at the start, so I've come up with like lemon and citrus and those things. Sonali came up with sherbet, and I'm actually quite into that. Yeah, I kind of like it.
It's got a kind of effervescence.
Yeah,
that kind of fizzy kind of, yeah.
For sure. But what I really love about it is afterwards, the acidity kind of almost drops off. And for me, you know Cadbury's caramel. Yeah. You know, what was it? Well, Mr. Beavery, why are you beavering around? You know, it's like, I can do this with you. We're kind of similar age. This is kind of good. But it's like Cadbury's caramel for me. It's just chocolate and the smoothness, and there's caramel, and it's just delicious.
Really nice.
So, Pacamara, how long have you been open?
We've been open just shy of 4 years now.
Right.
We originally opened up espresso. It was kind of espresso exclamation mark, and I kind of grew to hating it. But then,
so I can tell you, my first ever business cards. It was like it was a coffee bean on its own, and like coloured coffee bean with a black and white background, and it was like, be a coffee drinking individual, espresso yourself. And I was like, oh my god, did I really do that? And I'm like,
Well, it was my wife that came up with the name. We were looking at names when we were going through the build phase, and we went through various ones, and that was just the one that stuck.
Yeah.
But as I said, over time, I don't know, I was fed up with people spelling it the wrong way. Even the other day, believe it or not, because our company is still called Espresso. I got a cheque with a refund from the bank, and they've actually, on the letter of the cheque from the bank, they've managed to spell it 3 different ways.
Wow.
It's the same person. And I laughed with it, I thought that sums up exactly. But the main reason was because we were starting to do more with food.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, coffee it's still as important as ever to us. But I felt that the name Espresso purely said we were a coffee house.
Yes.
It didn't say, now Pacamara doesn't say that you're a food business, but it's a bit more kind of generic.
Yeah, I mean, for most people, they don't know
Exactly.
kind of what it is. And actually, it's a good way of getting what's it mean. Oh, well, it's a coffee varietal, and then you're back in the coffee, aren't you? So
I just felt it was a nice, memorable name. It's got a nice ring to it, and yeah.
it's weird. I would have thought there would have been other shops called Pacamara, like that, but I can't think of any.
There's one in Singapore that looks really good actually. So at some point in the future I might get a chance to visit it. That's the only one I'm aware of.
Yeah. So when I was coming up with the name Has Been, like I literally spent 4 minutes on Google. Well, actually, it wasn't even on Google. It was on a domain name registrar, and I was just trying different things, see what was available. And I saw Has Been, and I was like, it's 27 years old. I think I can get away with that. That's cool. Yeah, go with that. Like now, I actually am turning into a Has Been. It's not such a cool name, but it's funny. Like nobody ever thinks like I don't think about the name so much anymore. It's like it's what happens inside.
Yeah.
So where are you? Where can people find you?
So we're in Dundee on Dundee Perth Road, which is the area quite close to the university, the Duncan and Jordanson College of Art and Design. We've also got 9 Wells Hospital quite close to us. What that gives us is a really nice mix of customers here. A lot of students, a lot of academics, a lot of artists. And a lot of just residents that can stay around this. But as I said, I think for what we do, for the type of food we do, the type of coffee we do, it's the perfect location. As far as Dundee goes.
And as you said already, food's quite important. So you've got your own chefs here, kind of like preparing the food for you. It's like you say you use like the local butchers and stuff like that. So if people want to come, they should website.
Believe it,
Facebook page.
Do you know we get Facebook? Facebook. You get Pacamara Food and Drink.
Okay, we'll put that somewhere on the screen so people can go to it.
And if I get my head down over the next week or so, the website may even be online by the time this goes out. Fantastic.
So that web address that people can go to, because people watch these afterwards as well.
Simply www.pacamara.co.uk.
Pacamara.co, I like it. That's a
simple as that.
Did you have to buy that, or was it available?
No, it was available.
That's amazing. Wow, that's a great domain name. We should go into the cappuccino, so before the milk goes out of date, because we're gossiping away. Go and take that one off you. So, I am always worried about these high acidity coffees having milk to them, because they just tend to be. It's either all acid or it kind of disappears. And actually, for me, the acidity has disappeared in there, but it's just gone to that chocolate caramel thing.
It really cuts through the milk that one.
It's funny as well, because I've been trying to avoid using chocolate as a descriptor recently, because I think too many. Because it is such a common descriptor. That's a chocolate sweetness. That's a dark chocolate to milk chocolate. But this for me is raw milk chocolate. Like sweet and creamy and a great mouthfeel to it. And the milk actually raises it. What milk is it? Is it like a local dairy?
We use a fairly local dairy in a Greek family-owned dairy called D&D Dairies, who we've used since day one.
The milk tastes amazing. The milk really does taste amazing. And we should go into this. So what am I actually doing tonight? I've got to talk.
So you're doing
I'm not good at talking. That's not my thing.
I believe you're doing a presentation. You should get my holiday snaps.
My holiday snaps. I could talk about that. That's fine. Yeah.
So that's
just me and my skin-coloured speedos.
So we've got the screen being installed, and we've got a decent audience coming in. Well, we've had to get all the tables out and put the chairs in. So, and I'm expecting we might get a few turned up as well who haven't registered. So it should be a really good night. And then we're doing the Q&A afterwards, which
scares the heck out of me.
I'm particularly looking forward to it.
I hope they're gentle with me.
Yeah.
I've only been back in the country a couple of days. I'm still a little tired.
Done the audiences are good.
Yeah, right. Right, so in the filter coffee, for me the acidity isn't anywhere near the same as in the espresso.
Yep.
It's kind of gone much sweeter and smoother than the effervescence of the espresso. And I kind of really get that effervescence in there, but in here, it's so much calmed down.
It does have that acidity, but it's not overpowering.
No, not at all. And I think the sweetness for me is the dominant part of the cup. I think it's really cool that we can bring the Pacamara. First time we've had this Pacamara as well, 2 Pacamara.
Really?
And so this is the first outturn from the farm of this special forest project that they're doing. So it's really cool we can bring it here. Really cool that they can try it at home. And you guys should kind of come here and try some coffee here too.
Yep.
We've got Argentina, Finca Argentina and Anasaura on the minute, so that's a winner for me. Barry, thank you very much for joining me on camera. Thank you for helping me with the tasting. Thank you for watching, and do remember, life is definitely too short. Fantastic.